If you are an ambitious student at university, you should definitely keep on watching this video because if you don't know, how to go smarter or faster through university and landing the job you want at the end of your studies, then I have all the answers to your questions because I had to figure it out myself. And what I actually came up with is an operating system that got me faster through university. And most importantly, I was so happy I was not burning out. And in the end, I landed the jobs that I was actually interested in. So stay with me. Well, first of all, who I am. If you don't know me already, I am Lilly. I'm Swiss-based. I'm a self-published author. My fourth book is coming out in October 2026, and I am a full-time product manager in a fintech. And well, my journey until now has always been on the ambitious side. And I never really traded my ambition for just being average and having a kind of normal student life back then in university because I strongly believed that I could achieve everything that I wanted. And it happened, but it just happened because I was able to figure out a operating system that was sustainable over time because I was hustling. And probably you are too, or you want to hustle your way through university because otherwise you would not watch this video. But it's not always easy to understand how to do it on the long term so that you are still motivated as at the beginning. Because hustling, we all know, requires a ton of energy and a ton of time. And I'm somebody that prioritizes her sleep over everything else. During my university time, I slept 9 hours every single night, and I still do now while full-time product manager, author on the side, building this YouTube channel. It's possible. You just need to shift a little bit your mindset and going from the trap of the well-known hustle culture into a hustle mindset that is actually sustainable. And it's possible. You just need to become smarter and more efficient about your time and how you put your energy into what you are doing on any given day. So let's jump into my tactics. First of all, you need to understand why you want to be this kind of student, like the ambitious student. What do you actually want to extract from university, right? There are like different things you can extract. You can extract the diploma, you can extract a specific job after graduation, or maybe you just want to make your parents happy. Well, probably that's not a great motivator for university. You just need to be clear what's your ROI. Because if you don't know where you want to land after probably 5 years of university, you don't have the North Star that is guiding you. Back then, for me, when I started studying business and computer science in my minor, I knew exactly where I wanted to end up. I wanted to become a product manager in a Swiss startup, if possible in a fintech and in a B2C business model. And now I am doing this. And I was able to do it because I picked along the way all the things that enabled me to do it. But before I tell you exactly what it took, I want to quickly take a step back and have a look at you, or inviting you to have a look in the mirror. There are 4 types of students. There are the students that are more on the average side, that are there to just enjoy university life, like go with the flow, party, because university in the end, it's not a job. You just need to go to the lectures. And sometimes you need to study, to go to the library, but otherwise you can party, right? This is one kind of student. But guess what? The student will probably not achieve a lot in their life because they're more focused on what's happening right now in the present and how can they get the best out of this life, which is just enjoying their life. Perfectly fine. This is a valid choice. This is not a judgment. This is perfectly fine. But if you are ambitious and you're watching this video, it's because probably you're right now stuck a little bit in your life and you don't know how to turn your ambition into something that actually delivers to you what you need after university. So if you are on the side of the gambler, the one that is just like studying a little bit and then seeing what happens in the exams, or more on the average side, kind of like, oh yeah, let's enjoy university, party a lot, and yeah, and get the diploma somehow, and you have this ambition, well, probably now it's the moment to make a mindset shift and understand that if you have this ambition, you've got this capability, you've got this wiring, then you actually should do something about it. And to do something about it means that you need to change how you actually live your life. More about it later. If you're already on the ambitious side, you're already somebody that wants to get the best grades, that wants to land the best internships, the best full-time job after university, well, then you are probably somebody who is just hustling without a direction and without being smart about it. You probably have already like a ton of good grades and you're doing a good job, but you're spending too much time in the library just studying and trying to make it right and just trying to fit into the timeline that university is giving you. And yeah, you're just trying to be a good student. That's fine. You already have like good fundamentals here because you know how to turn your ambitions in your ambition into some specific output. However, you have not found yet a system that allows you to not burn out, because probably all the moments where you had to study for a longer period because exams, finals were coming up, you were burning out and you could not wait for the exam to come because you needed vacation. There is another way to live your life as an ambitious student, which is enjoying the life also while studying and still do a ton of other shit on the side, like seeing your friends, going to the gym, do sports, even having like your side gig. How to do it? Now we can have a closer look at it. So first of all, you've understood, you need to understand where you want to end up. This is like kind of your North Star, your why. You need to define it like clearly. For me back then, it was, I want to become a product manager. Good, I already told you about it. And now you need to define yours as well. So take some seconds, pause this video, take some seconds and think about who you want to be in 3-5 years after university. Once this picture is clear in your head, write it down somewhere because you really don't need to forget about it. This is your guiding principle somehow. The ROI, what do you want to extract? Good. Once you know what it is and you're clear about it, you need to start making smart decisions. So everything that you will choose about how your semester is gonna look like comes down to, does this serve my end goal? If this specific lecture, if this specific seminar, if this specific project is not serving that, you need to find a way around it. I explain you now how I did it. There is usually always a standard path or pack of modules, lectures you need to go to for every single semester. Fair. Good, easy, you could take it and just do it. But if you do it, then you're on the standard path, on the average path, and you will not end up into better positions than anybody else at the end. What you need to find out there is, on one side, the things like the lectures that are aligned with what you want to end up being, which means the content itself is serving your purpose, or the lectures that you can fill into your timeline so that you are faster. And actually, you need to do both of them. What I did, as I knew I want to end up being a product manager, so I picked all the subjects and the modules, lectures that were inherent to what I wanted to do. So everything that had to do with developing digital business models, developing digital apps, and stuff like that. I put them on a timeline on like the scheduler of the semester. And what I figured is, if I'm just picking the ones that are fitting into the normal lecture timeline, then it takes me actually longer because I need to follow the path that it's given by the university system. So I started opening my horizons and looking for all these projects that I could do during my vacation time, the projects that do not require your presence in the lecture itself, so that I could fit in more lectures and projects into the same timeline as somebody just following what is given. And once I started doing that, I could actually cut down one entire semester in my bachelor's. That's crazy if you think about it, right? It's like a ton of time that you can do something else. And what did I do during that extra semester? I started working. So I picked my first internship that would serve my end goal. I started working in a company as an intern in innovation management. I had so much responsibilities. I could do so many things. And I started to get to know a lot of people in this startup ecosystem. I had a wonderful time. I was developing skills that I was not able to get at university. So that was huge. Like the ROI I had on compressing my timeline and going faster through my bachelor's gave me so many opportunities. That opened doors for later, like for the next job. And that's incredible. So think about how you can optimize your timeline and make smart decisions about how you design your study. Good. These are the smart decisions. So we had your why, what you want actually to extract from university, your final goal, the outcome of your studies, and you had the smart decisions. Now we need to understand how you actually plan your every single day, because in the end, it comes down to what you do on any given day and how you show up. And here you need to understand that it's super easy actually to plan your day in a smart way. There are some things that you need to master. First of all, tool. You have the one thing that is very related to your job as a student, how you learn. And the second one is how you recharge. Because one thing is hustling. The other thing is recharging. And the recharging one is the one that makes it sustainable over time. That one is super important. Hustling without it, it's a trap. It's like your signature on a contract to go to hell and never come back. So make sure that you don't hustle only, but that you also make time to recharge. How to design your day later. How to learn comes down to basically two principles for me. One is time boxing your time that you learn, and the second one is clearly defining what is your goal on any given day that you learn. So when you go to the library next week or tomorrow, write down on a piece of paper what is the one thing that actually makes you progress in your learning plan. It can be finish summarizing the lecture. It can be watch the podcast. It can be understand this formula. Whatever it is, you need to write it down. And you will make the time and get the focus to just achieve that one thing. You can break it down into steps to actually get there so that you've got smaller packages of things that you can check box. But you need to make sure that it's clear what you're walking away after your day in the library. And then time boxing. This is super important because if you're a hustler, if you're an ambitious student, you will probably spend 7 to 10 hours in the library, but you will not end up with the outcome that you would end up if you would time box better your time. Why? Because if you say to yourself, I've only got 5 hours to study today, what will happen is that you will focus better on the things that you actually need to know to achieve your daily goal. And this is super useful because you can cut down by the half the time you spend in the library and still get a better result. This is how I did it. Every day I would check in at 8 in the library, write down what I would achieve on that day, write small packages down, and those small packages were usually 1 hour time slots that I would put a timer so that I knew, okay, at 9 a.m., I'm finished with this first step. At 10 a.m., I'm finished with the second step. And then somewhen at 3 p.m., I had everything I needed on the day and I could walk out of the library guilt-free and knowing that I was one step ahead of everybody. So make you accountable, fix that one thing you need to know on every single day, and time box it and stick to the plan. Really stick to the plan. Cool. Then this is how you learn. And then there is how you recharge. Now that you know how much time you need to spend in the library, you also need to make sure that the time you spend not learning is time well invested. Maybe here a small parenthesis. You might work on the side. This is something that comes on top of learning and of recharging. That's fine. I was also working 40 to 50% while studying 100%. What I did was having 2 days in a week where I only was working. So I was focusing on that one and they were not interfering with my learning at university. And then I had 3 days a week where I was learning, going to the lectures, going to the library. And then I had the entire weekend, which was off. I was not doing anything outside of working on my side gigs and stuff like that. But this is how I handled having a part-time job while studying. So please remember that if you have a part-time job, make time for it. And there it's the same thing. Be focused, have your time slots. Of course, this time they're given by your employer, and make sure that you achieve on every day at work. Also, that one thing that makes you progress in your side career. You just need to apply the same thing. The recharging, the second element, is important to whether you're just studying or not. But as I said before, it's actually good to have a part-time job while studying because this will profile you better. And also in comparison to all the other students that are average and just studying, you will of course stand out. But more on how to stand out with your part-time job, what you should choose and everything, on top of what I told you before, that it should of course serve your final outcome. I can make another video about that, how I chose and how I went from one job to the other. Back now to how to recharge. Here I see 3 elements that are extremely important. One is sleep, my favorite one, because I'm a big advocate for sleeping 9 hours every single day. And then there are 2 more. One is the social life, and the second one is the hobby, sport, health dimension. And you need to make time for everyone, best on every day, but you could potentially also swap them. The only one that you cannot swap is, of course, sleeping. So let's have some time to talk about sleeping. 9 hours. This is what I would prescribe everyone. I am somebody who sleeps every night 9 hours, and thanks to this, I can wake up without setting an alarm. I went through my university without setting an alarm. I knew I could go to the lectures at 8 a.m. in the morning without an alarm because I had enough sleep every single night. And this can only happen if you make your sleep a priority. And I can promise you that if you are a hustler in university, if you are an ambitious student who does not only study but also works on the side and maybe also even builds a side gig and goes to the gym 4 times a week and does a ton of other things on the side, you need to recharge and you need to sleep. And having 9 hours of sleep is what makes it possible to you on any given day to be productive, because you've got your batteries at 100%. And this is important because the moment you start lacking sleep, you just don't have the energy. And you need to be honest with yourself. You're just fucking around with your time. You're there and you're not accomplishing anything. And everything that I told you about before, you cannot just make it happen. So make sure that your recharge slot has always the majority of time dedicated to sleep. Then what is also super important to feel well while managing so many other work-related things on the side is having social life. You need to meet up with friends. You need to meet up with your family. Those are also sources of energy. It's cool to somehow get your head free. Here, one advice from my side is avoid those human connections that actually are not aligned with who you want to become. At university, oftentimes you feel FOMO. You're like, oh, you want to hang out with everybody because it's so cool. And then if everybody wants to go partying, you go too. That's fair. You can even do it for like some weeks. But in the end, you will see that it does not lead you anywhere. And those connections are not long lasting. So be also smart about your free time and with who you are spending that time. And best is to have a small circle of people that are also ambitious, that are also the ones who want to extract something cool from university, that have also something to teach you. Because oftentimes the best lessons in life come from people you surround yourself with. So make sure that you've got those people in your life because they're like lifelong supporters of yours. I still have some of my friends from university, and also like they were not all students. I had them before, but those were the people that I would hang out with. And I can tell you, I made some bad choices about people I wanted to spend time with, and then we went drinking, partying, and stuff. And on the day after, I was like, "What the fuck? I spent so much like time doing nothing, and now I'm not able to do like my side projects and stuff. I don't have the energy, and that energy at that time you don't get it back. So make wise choice about who you surround yourself with. And then the third one is your body, your health, your which can be like it can be physical health, it can be mental health, it can be whatever thing. It's your hobby. One thing that is um not necessarily output related, but that just makes you happy. For me, this was always my so doing sports, going to the gym, playing tennis, or playing whatever other kind of sports I was into, because it would energize myself and I would feel my body recharging through it, and it was just time that would yeah make me happy. And I was not even super like like focused on one specific output, like, or I don't know, getting better at cardio and stuff. I would just get my baseline, which is still probably a bit more than other people, but it was about just getting like re-energized and stuff. And on some days when I was not going to the gym, I would do a creative project. I would maybe do some video editing and stuff like that, where yeah, I had an output, but it was not related specifically to my final outcome of university. It was more for myself, making me happy. And that was also very important because it gave me always like a balance of what I was pouring my energy strategically into and what was just making myself happy. So those are the three things that will recharge you. So make time for that. Okay. Well, now I'd like to share with you, to make it a little bit more tangible, how my usual day looked like at university. And then we're wrapping up with this one. So I would usually start at 8 a.m. If I had a lecture, of course, then I would go to the lectures. If I did not have a lecture and I was during the final preparation time, then I would go to the library. In the library, I would, as said before, set my goal of the day and time box until 3 p.m. to work like deeply. So I would put every distraction away and I would just focus on what I was supposed to do to achieve my goal. And after that, I would usually go to the gym like 1 hour just after leaving university, the library. I would go to the gym 1 hour. What would I do there? I would usually I usually listen to some podcast, educational content on YouTube to, get new insights and at the same time doing some sports that would recharge me. After that, I would usually meet up with somebody, and that somebody was a friend, my sister, or somebody else that would enrich my time and leave me with good thoughts, with a good time. And then I had some time to just chill because I mean I also watch TV and sometimes hang on YouTube and watch some videos. So I had also the half an hour to do that, and then I would read Because for me, reading has always been something, of course, educational, but at the same time also to calm down. Because you know what? I had, of course, my time to go to bed, right? Like that fixed time to go to bed. And I knew when I wanted to go to bed. I knew how to get my 9 hours. And then after that, yep, nothing could go into my way. It was just time for me to go to bed, sleep my 9 hours, and then wake up on the next day to just repeat this recipe and get things done. It's really easy. It really comes down to just be smart and strategic about your time, and then you can go through whatever system you are in faster or just smarter. In the end, it's about extracting what you need to extract, and always do this while thinking about where you want to end up. So you need to have this direction in front of your eyes, and you just don't need to be only in the moment and think about what's happening now. You always need to think about what's gonna happen in 2, 3, 5 years. And once you've got clarity about that, you can come down to defining in the details how your day is gonna look like. And once you're repeating these patterns of how your day look like, how you make decisions, how you spend your time and everything, it just becomes habitual. It just becomes how it is. And this is exactly the power of designing your life with an operating system that is sustainable. Because it's not something that you do for 1 to 5 weeks and you try and you go through it and it feels shit. The way I design it and the way I will share more content about it is the exact way that you can do it every day of your life for years. I finished my university path a little bit more than 2 years ago, and I'm still sticking to it. So I'm like in year 7, and this entire design of my life works even better now when I'm in a full-time job, which means I am working a little bit more than 8 hours on every single day. I am building my side hustle where I also pour in a ton of hours and energy while going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, which is one of my hobbies, still hanging out with my friends. And I am still getting 9 hours of sleep. That's crazy if you think about it. But it works because you just need to design your life better than other people that are just hustling without giving themselves some principles to follow to make it sustainable over time. So yeah, that was it. I hope this is gonna change your life at university. I think it will. It changed mine. It will change yours also for the better. So make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of this kind of content. Also leave in the comments questions or even suggestions for new topics. I'm reading every single one, and I'm trying to shape this channel and my content to your needs. So just let me know, and see you in the next video.